Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, doing my review for Into the Badlands Season 3. We had the Season 3 finale, of course, yesterday, which was, I'm looking at it now, is Leopard Catches Cloud. Definitely a great season finale. It's been a good season in general. This is, I think, technically like the first show where I'm doing like my weird full season thing instead of doing every episode. Although I had no clue that we were only getting 8 episodes. I'm pretty sure the last season was more episodes than this, and I thought this was gonna be, like another big one. At least like 10, or well, really I thought it was gonna be like 15 episodes or something. So I was really upset that it was only 8 episodes because I was like, oh, that's it. Like I was watching an episode and I was like, I happened to be two behind the finale and then the one before it. And I was like, all right, I'll just do my little quick catch up. And then it was talking about finale and I was like, well, is it the like winter or whatever this finale is, because of course if you're The Walking Dead, it's like, oh, it comes back in August. So I was like, oh, it's talking about the finale, and I'm like, well, maybe it's the their mid-season break or something. It's like, nope, season finale, 8 episodes. So that really sucked, because I was enjoying this season and I liked the really odd shift in dynamic. I think this is honestly the most distant season from the other two. Like you could watch those two together and I feel like they're really united, and this I feel like is kind of when shows have that first big leap and they start to go into like basically a second arc. I'd say the first two seasons, of course, you have Quinn as like this the overarching villain really for those first two seasons. So it was kind of like the Quinn arc was the first two, and then this was like almost the Badlands arc really, because it's going into the stuff with Pilgrim and going into kind of attempting to end the war, which they don't technically show the ending where it's like, okay, well, Chow may or may not be dead. I mean, she got the arrows hit in her chest and she was bleeding, but it was like, well, she might be dead. We'll see what happens with her brother. He would probably take over, but would they even follow him? So they might have to kill all of her Clippers. And I'm like, the way it ended, it was just like, crap. There's still a couple of questions that have kind of left up in the air, but definitely a fun season. As always, the action's been pretty good. We finally figure out what's been going on, at least like a tiny bit with Asher. We still have like the big questions up in the air, but we do find out, at least by the end, we have like the original location that formed Astra, which unlocked this great power, which basically created the Badlands and all the devastation that the world has known. So that's kind of what they're unleashing again, but this time it's a little bit more controlled because we have Pilgrim. Sunny was basically the other key. They were meant to be like the two keys to unlock this and control the power. So Sunny unlocks the power, Pilgrim controls it. So we'll see how that ends up playing out, where he has like all of the darkness and it's like unlimited power there. Baji, of course, realizes like, all right, well, this is a bad idea. We made a mistake here. So that's how that's playing out. We have by the end at least, we have the Widow getting her, I would assume, getting her powers back, because it's like, oh, it's been a long time and I need you to prepare, and she just knocks her out. I'm like, I'm assuming she's getting her powers back. She might have full control like MK does, or he has full control of his power. We find out that Sunny killed his mom, which is really interesting. I did not expect that, and it was really funny because I went back, I was watching like the first season, and they had a line where it was something that he mentioned, but it was kind of just like them traveling, and it was supposed to be him getting split up, but I think it was a lie in general. It was supposed to be like, oh, I was looking for my mom and stuff. That was kind of like the first season was MK looking for his mom, and somehow, I think they kind of retconned it, or it was just a line that they kind of forgot about and threw away. But it was interesting watching. It was just like, man, he's now going to be like Sunny's enemy, and of course they finally meet up at the end of the episode or end of the season, and Sunny's like, sorry I left you. I thought that's why you're super mad, and it was like, you don't even remember killing my mom. So very interesting season. They've definitely changed up the character allegiances. There's so many half-hearted allegiances this whole season. I wouldn't have been surprised if Chow actually just won the whole thing, because she's like, I officially hate everybody, and then that was it. But little allegiances here and there, it's like half-hearted stuff. It's like, you killed these people, you betrayed me, this and that, just full circles. But in the end, everybody was working together. Tilda does end up working with her mother, working with the Widow again by the end. Tilda was sweet this season, by the way. Her having like her own little group, I thought was super cool. It kind of sucked when that ended, and then most of them got killed off. Her girlfriend ended up leaving. Like, I'm kind of just done with all the fighting. So it's like, oh, that that sucks when all that ends up playing out that way. But great season. I love what they did with the characters. Moon was awesome. They brought him back as Widow's regent, so I thought that was actually pretty cool. Lydia comes in and she's like the viceroy, so I thought that was pretty sweet. I was like, well, once again, just all these weird allegiances where it's like, yeah, it's working, and it's like, will it keep working? Will it not work? I didn't know what was happening at the end, where it was like Lydia seemed like she was about to let Moon die, but then she ends up saving him, and then we find out that she's been injured. So it's like, well, they don't conclude that either. So it's, a lot of stuff is kind of up in the air. It's like either Chow could be alive, she could be dead, Lydia could be alive, Lydia could also be dead. We don't know what's going on with the Widow. I would assume she's getting her powers back. We don't know what's going to happen with Pilgrim having this ultimate power. MK is already on his side, and of course he wouldn't help the Widow, but there are so many questions. Having the woman come down from the temple and she gives the Widow her powers back. Is that going to convince MK that he really is on the wrong side of things? So there's just a lot of questions. I doubt that would happen, but I just don't know, because he didn't have like the best relationship with the people from the temple. So it would be hard to say if they could convince him that Pilgrim is like the bad guy. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I know Pilgrim's going to be the villain, but I just don't know how they're going to do it. Like, they cured his son, they cured Sonny's son. I assume that he's not going to get his powers back, but they could do that too. So just once again, a ton of questions are up in the air, but it was such a fun season. And it was funny because I didn't have like a ton of questions. I was like, okay, this is what's happening. They're trying to find Sunny, and then we pretty much get all the answers that I had questions for in the end. And then they kind of just make a million other questions because it was like, all right, well, what is this device for, and what's it gonna do? And then they say it, they show it, and then they answer it, and then it actually goes through, what it's supposed to. And then it's like, oh, well, now that he has this ultimate power, now what are they going to do? He's talking about becoming gods and shaping the power to their will and, changing the entire world. And then you have the woman in the temple who comes down and gives Minerva her powers. So it's like, clearly that's a bad thing, and Baji was right. So a lot of questions, false or weird little allegiances. We'll see what happens in season 4, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. Like I said, I was upset that it was only 8 episodes. I was like, man, that really freaking blows. It's only 2 episodes more for sure than the first season, because I know the first season only had 6, and I thought for sure the last season had 12 episodes, and I could be wrong, and obviously it was a year ago, but I could have sworn it had 12 episodes. So I was definitely like, oh, we're gonna go into things and we're gonna have more episodes. We're gonna have more than 12 episodes, or around 12. And then it hit 8, and they're like, yep, the finale's here. And I was like, well, that blows. So unfortunately, we have hit the end of the season already, and I wasn't expecting that. So here we are. But definitely looking forward to season 4. I'm really curious what they're gonna do with some of the stuff that they introduced. They had the woman who got her leg chopped off that Baji ended up saving. I thought that was a cool way to bring that back, where it's like, we're taking over because, you're just throwing us out there to die. Then, of course, they have Baji, his ex-wife comes into the series, so she's going to take over for the River King, because, of course, Sunny ends up killing him off. So she says she's going to take over as the River Queen, so I'm curious if they'll actually follow through with that and what role she's going to end up playing. Considering she's such an important character to Baji, she, of course, has to come back, especially if she is going to take over. And it's like, all right, well, he's dead. I'm going to take over as the River Queen. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do that with those elements. Of course, the MK Sunny thing barely had time to actually play out. It was like the whole season they were so separated. They have that one fight, which was a great fight, especially the great scene where they have Sunny like spin through the sparks, and they show it from down going up. I thought that was actually a really great scene. Of course, Moon on the battlefield sequence I thought was amazing. Like, just the cinematography for that was great. The music was good too. The scene where his bowler hat hits the like the pool of blood, that was a great looking shot. And I wondered, I was like, the way it looked, I think they put something heavy. I think they probably put like a piece of metal on that side of the hat so it would specifically like dip. But it just looked so good. I was like, it looked too perfect to not have been, made perfect. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they put like a weight on the hat so it would dip at an angle and look exactly like that. So it looked great. They did a great job there. All the slow motion, people running through the puddles, showing the horses, the music playing, orchestral music and stuff, like a symphony going off while he's slashing people left and right and, shooting little darts and crap. So it definitely looked awesome. It was like a great sequence for his character. And I was curious. I was like, are they really going to, kill him off after they've made him this big character? And once again, how would that impact, season 4 going forward? But they end up saving him, possibly killing Lydia. I highly doubt it. But the way they did it with all the teasing and stuff like that, it's like, all right, well, it probably won't kill her off, especially, like an in-between seasons sort of thing. But definitely looking forward to where we're headed for season 4, of course. We'd love to know what you guys thought about the finale and naturally the entire season, since I didn't do any reviews asking you guys anything about it. Would love to know what you guys thought about this entire season 3, how you guys think it stacks up compared to the first 2 seasons. For me personally, I would still say season 2 is probably my favorite, and I think it was a bit more, oddly enough, with the different storylines that were going on, I think it was a bit more compact compared to this season where technically, like, there was legitimately like a lot of traveling, and I don't, for some reason, like, felt it, which is weird to say, I guess, but I kind of felt that there was a lot of movement, and there, I felt like it wasn't really they weren't like super tied down to some of the locations, especially with Sunny and Baji. Like, their whole thing was finding the pilgrim, and for the most part, I say for the first half of the season, the pilgrim naturally was moving from place to place as well till they found the museum. So it's like, all right, well, they found their place, and then that story is set there, and then naturally you have the widow, and she's in her compound and stuff. But a big chunk of the story is obviously the main character and his son, and they're, kind of traveling through all these different destinations. A lot of cool stuff came from it. I will admit the episode with the blind people was an insane episode, and I really love that fight sequence too. But it was just like, kind of one of those crazy, weird things where it's like they're on this journey, but you kind of felt like it was a long journey. So I guess in that sense, that's kind of why I like the second season a little bit more, and how it was, even though it was intense, it was still a bit more compact, even though there was a ton of traveling in, definitely in the second season too. But it just didn't feel like, as big of a legitimate long adventure as it did in this season, which is funny considering it was a shorter season. But I loved it. I still really enjoyed the season. Like I said, you could tell that it was going into that next arc. The first 2 seasons were Quinn is the main villain, and then we now have Pilgrim as the main villain, and he was kind of like this weird in the middle thing where he's fighting this person, fighting that person, and now it's going to be like he's definitely going to be the main villain, which we'll see what happens. If Chow is alive, maybe she'll be like, well, crap, if I know I'm going to lose to this person, maybe I'll team up, with the widow, but their weird allegiances and just how that stuff might play out mentally, we just have to wait and see. But definitely looking forward to the next season. Like I said, would love to know what you guys thought about this season. Favorite moments, least favorite moments, favorite action sequences, stuff like that. As far as my favorite, it's kind of hard to say. Like, going through the season, they had some really great fights. I liked Sunny going up against the people. I totally can't remember their names right now, but him going up against them I thought was cool. And I was waiting like the whole season for the scene, because they would always show it during the commercial. The scene with him like spinning the ladder around. I was like, where's that fight at? So they saved it for the finale. But that was a cool fight. The fights are always really sweet. And obviously, Moon in this, that might be my favorite just because of the visuals just look so great with it. It was like a bunch of slow motion, but it didn't look dumb slow motion. It actually looked good in it. The visuals were great, and it was just really well done. So that might be my favorite because I felt like it had everything to the fight, and I still really enjoyed the fight because it was really intense. I was like, is he gonna live? Is he gonna die? But the scene where they did have Sunny and Baji fight the blind people, I thought that was really well done too. It was just like a really odd, intense sort of fight sequence, and the way they handled it, the way the people fought, and they were almost like robotic, how they would move in unison and stuff like that and swap places. And I just like that idea. I was like, that's actually super, super cool. So I thought it was really interesting. Just watching that whole sequence play out, like, are they going to get past them? Are they not going to get past them? Are they going to be able to trick them by adding noise to it? Will they notice that they added 2 extra swords? Stuff like that. So those are probably my 2 favorites throughout the season. But of course, we'd love to know yours. Like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about the entire season as a whole, and of course the finale in itself. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.